Hey guys, it's Victor here. I'm in Incheon, South Korea right now, and in this video I decided to give you the framework of how to start learning Chinese by yourself. You probably take classes with some teacher, or you probably have some coach, you're enrolled in a course or some stuff like this. It's really important to invest in courses and in teachers and in coaches and stuff like this. But here, what I would like to give you is a framework on how to start learning Chinese by yourself, because oftentimes people ask me what books to use, what methods to use, what systems to use, how many hours should you study every single day. And so in this video, I'd like to give you kind of a simple framework to start with, because you can start learning Chinese by yourself. And I don't recommend not to invest in courses and coaches and teachers and stuff like this, but in this video I'd like to give you the framework of a self-study, of self-education. It's really important, even though you're probably taking part in some course, in some Chinese course, but it's really important that most of the time you study Chinese by yourself. You should think of it as a long-term game, not a short-term game. You should think of it like something long-term. Of course, you want short-term results. Of course, you want to go from zero to conversational in a few months. But here in this video, I'd like to give you the system in which you can be kind of self-sufficient a little bit. For example, when you don't have an opportunity to take classes, when you can't find a teacher, when you can't find a coach. So in this video, I'd like to give you this framework, this really important thing that you need to know. So first of all, what you should start with is proper materials. You should choose proper books, proper textbooks, and proper materials, proper workbooks for studying Chinese. I recommend textbooks. Again, I recommend only textbooks and workbooks. And I recommend only textbooks by Peking University Press. Again, Peking University Press. Peking means Beijing. So those books are pretty much recommended by Beijing University, and the books are the standard of Chinese language. Those books are the best in the world. When I was in China, when I studied Chinese in China, I used those books. And I want you to avoid these mistakes of choosing wrong materials, wrong books for studying, because when I was studying Chinese before going to China, I was using wrong books, really old, outdated stuff in Russia. Back in the days, I was using those books and reading those dialects, which cannot happen in real life. And then when I went to China, I was like, wow, those books are so good, so great, so useful. I see dialects from those books, I see vocabulary from those books every single day. And so this is what I want you to do. I want you to start using right materials from day one. Again, Peking University Press. And so you can find those books on Amazon probably. I'll try to put links to those books down below. And there are books, of course, for different levels: beginner, intermediate, advanced. It doesn't matter what level you are. You can choose books for you, and you can start learning Chinese from day one. And so this is the first kind of important principle of the framework I use, and I teach my students to go from zero to conversational in Chinese in just 3 months. And so the second thing what I would like to tell you is that time that you should put in. It doesn't even matter how many classes you take with a native speaker if you don't do self-education. It's really important that you have this discipline of putting time to learn Chinese every single day. So usually I recommend to start with 1 hour a day, but if it's really hard for you to do, if you don't feel like it, if you don't have experience in learning foreign languages, if you're really busy, what I recommend you to do is that I recommend you to create this kind of winner effect in your head. I recommend you to start with 20 to 30 minutes a day. But the key here is to be consistent. Try to start from 20 to 30 minutes a day. Try to do it for a few weeks, and if you're okay with that, you can transition to 40 minutes and 1 hour after it. Try to be consistent. Again, it doesn't even matter if right now you can put 3 hours, 4 hours into learning Chinese. And this is important to understand that consistency is the key. And what I mean by that is that you should first develop kind of a habit of learning a language. So this is the second thing. The third thing that I would recommend you to do is that try to write down how many minutes you study in Excel. Try to write this down and calculate the average. So I recommend you to study at least 40, you can start with 20 minutes, but you should go to 40 minutes to 1 hour on average every single day. If you want to master Chinese, for example, in a few months from now, you should put about 1 to 2 hours every single day. It should be like this. It's really hard to do. Again, I recommend you to start with 20 to 30 minutes a day to develop this habit, to create this winner effect in your brain. And after that, I recommend you to transition to 1 to 2 hours a day. So another thing, the next tip I'd like to talk about here is that don't focus on apps or, for example, watching TV or watching some dramas and stuff for learning foreign language. Because if you have beginner level right now, I do recommend you to expose yourself to this language. I do recommend you to use anything and everything to learn this language. But the only thing that I would recommend you to do is that don't say that you study a foreign language using an app. Because apps don't bring you to fluency, don't bring you to professional level. They can't even bring you to the conversational intermediate level. Oftentimes I see people saying that they study Chinese using Duolingo or other apps and stuff like this. Well, I wouldn't recommend you to do that because apps don't offer systematic knowledge. They cannot teach you thousands of characters and tens or hundreds of grammatical structures and words usages. And so here I would recommend you to actually stop thinking of using an app for learning a foreign language like a studying time. So the only way you can study is take classes with teacher or native speaker or with the coach, or study with a textbook by yourself. This is the only time that counts. This is the only time that counts again. So starting with the textbook or with the teacher, only time that counts. So this is the time. Those are 20 minutes. This is 20 minutes or 40 minutes or 1 hour you should put in every single day. If you watch some movie in Chinese, if you watch some drama or like have fun using the app, it doesn't count as a study. It counts as an exposure, it counts as practice, it counts as something fun and that you're exposing yourself to this language. You're creating the interest around this language, but it doesn't count as a studying time. So the last tip that I would recommend you to do is that try to cut your learning curve as much as you can. Try to test yourself, pretest yourself, try to apply principles for using your subconscious mind. Try to start by yourself, but don't think that you can learn such a difficult foreign language as Chinese by yourself really quickly. You can do it, you can start by yourself, and you should develop this habit of studying, of learning a foreign language by yourself. But what I would recommend you to do is that you should actually enroll in some course at the same time. You should enroll in some course and you should seek some professional help, and you should invest in learning Chinese. This is what I would recommend you to do. And so I actually started doing those free coaching calls recently where I give people personalized feedback on their situation. It doesn't even matter what level you have, where I give people personalized feedback, personalized advice on learning Chinese language, on cutting their learning curve, because so it really makes a difference, because you can spend 3 years on learning Chinese, or you can spend 3 months. So you can spend 3 years to go from zero to conversational, or you can spend just a few months on it. It really depends on the system. It really depends on the methods that you use. And so if you want to register for my free coaching call, you can DM me personally on Facebook. I will put the link down below. I'm sorry that I can't take this call with you if I have too many people registered, because I make those calls. I give my personal advice, my personal feedback. I do it personally, so I have only so much time in the day. And so what I would recommend you to do is that register as quickly as possible, so that I can give you my personalized feedback during this coaching call. I'll put the link to my Facebook down below so that you can DM me and ask me questions and register for the coaching call. I hope this video is helpful for you. Leave your comments down below. Tell me what methods you use, what textbooks you use, and how many minutes a day do you study Chinese. And I'll see you in the next video.